Welcome, West Michigan, to Grand Tap Media, Breathe in the Grand Show, produced by Keim Concept. Your host, Pamela Keim. Please enjoy the show. Hi, welcome to Grand Tap Media Show, Breathe in the Grand. My name is Pamela Keim, and I'm with your very special guest and friend and your neighbor, Denise Kolesar, who owned Kohler Expos. If you've not heard of that, they did the women's expos downtown, and she is a community leader. She is a coach of mine, and she is a successful entrepreneur. And I'm going to tap right into her and have her talk a little right off the bat on what it was like, Denise, real quickly, in the beginning here, and become an entrepreneur like 25 years ago when it wasn't chic or cool, because entrepreneurship is now, is the thing. People want to put their shingle out there. They want to have a business from home. They have an idea and they think, I can turn this into a business. But when you started back when I knew you 25 years ago, starting it wasn't the cool thing. It was a lot of hard work. And I think that you kind of want to tell people it's not what you think it is, even though they see like Bill Gates and all these people from Google. All these young people are making billions, some of them, at a very young age to these entrepreneurs. They have like an app that's going to turn them into a millionaire. But I want you to share with me what it was like for you and what gave you that like aha moment to say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to start Kohler Expo. I'm going to do this women's show. Can you share with us?
Yes, I can share with you. And you're correct. Back 20 years ago, it's much safer to work for a company. And we had some pretty mainstream companies here based in Grand Rapids that provided good income and good jobs. But I saw an opportunity. I was actually in the consumer show production industry before I had children. And I saw an opportunity to bring a women's show. And we did not have one in here in Grand Rapids. So when I decided to take off with it, I had a focus in mind that I was going to provide information, solutions, and a good time for women when they came to our event. And we also didn't go with the name show because they were like, home show, boat show, sports show. We decided to be a little different and went with expo. So that's where Kohler Expos, and that's why it was Women's Expo. We wanted to be just a little bit different. And yeah, and it took us about 3 years to really get on our feet. Our first show was at the Deltaplex, and it was okay. It was a great start, and then we just built from there. And then, even after that, 3 years later, we were asked to take over from another show producer in Lansing.
I remember that.
Yes, the Lansing sponsors came to us and said, hey, we don't want our promoter. Will you be our promoter? And met with them, and through some prayer time and stuff, we started the expo in Lansing, which is still to this day the largest event at the Lansing Center is the Women's Expo.
Oh, really?
In Lansing, yes, it's a very big event, so it's a very key component over there in the Lansing market. And one of the big things is the medical that we bring to that show. We work with Ingham Medical Center, and they just do all kinds of testing, and it's just phenomenal what they offer to the women in that community.
Well, you had to make this decision. I've known you. You and I have known each other for years. I knew you before you started when you came out and say you wanted to do Kohler Expo. We're going to get right into it. I mean, you really had to reach into your faith to try to make this decision, because it was a huge decision. And I remember you were struggling with it and say, you know what, it's been weighing on me. But can you share with us, because a lot of people out there are thinking about starting a business, or maybe even taking their business from their home and finally putting, I guess, up a shingle and getting out there and really promoting. And maybe they're at a different season of their life. Maybe they were home doing something when they're children, and now it's like, oh my gosh, being women. Because you might see that now, more women in there like I'm doing. Now I'm in my 50s, and my children are raised, and now I want to say, you know what, I did all of that season, and now I want to maybe try something that I would never normally try. But it has been through me, through a spiritual journey too, to decide what I want to do. But is it the same when you were making this decision?
It was definitely based on a prayer, and you can confirm that with my husband, because we were going to second mortgage our house to take this risk, because one of the things that there's always some financial obligations, and one of them is you have to rent the building. And that was one of the reasons we went with the Deltaplex the first year, is because the rent was $15,000 cheaper than the Grand Center at that time. And so, that was a big decision to not be right in downtown. And then the next year, we did some negotiations with the Grand Center, which is now DeVos Place.
Right, right.
Thank you for bringing us such a lovely convention center later in our years.
Oh, sure.
But, and at that time, we could only be on the terrace level, which was the basement level, because they didn't have room for us in the upper level. So we started, in many ways, in the basement. I mean, we started our business in the basement of our home, and it just kind of grew from there. And then after 3 years, the partner I originally started with left, and then my husband started. So we,
I remember that. That
based
was really
on
big,
faith.
yeah.
And you had asked me if fear is a part of,
Yes.
and yeah, because we weren't going to have a paycheck. We were not going to have a paycheck if we did not make things work. And so, we had some pretty hefty financial goals for our family, making sure we were saving for the kids' college education. We had made a commitment per month how much we were going to put away when the day they were born. We started putting money away. And just as long as they met their parents' standards, we would help them with their college education.
Right, right.
You have to meet those goals and those standards and those expectations that your parents lay out for you. But so yeah, it was a big risk, and yeah, fear. We had to succeed.
Well, I remember that. I remember us talking when did a lot of your. Now, what I'm experiencing, because you saw that we launched Grand Tap Media, and I had a lot of accolades and people calling, but honestly, it was you that picked up the phone. And when I got your phone, I'm like, okay, Denise is calling me to tell me I did a good job, and you get on the phone because you're a business. Okay, Pamela, all right, you did good. This is great. You did a great job. Let's talk. Let's talk what you're going to do in the next, as a business mentor of mine, the next 52 weeks. So one show, what you're going to. Let's break this down. And I don't think anybody, because I can tell that you had that business mind, and it actually empowered me to like, okay, I have some action plans. I can start thinking, because once I did this and I do this weekly show, I was like, okay, now where do we go? And you go, now we're going to move to this next level. Now we got to start getting sponsors and stuff like that to help the show grow and to meet the mission that you want, to meet everybody, bring people in and get out in the community and show all these events. So I want to thank you for that, but it really did help. But this, why don't you share with me what you said to me, because she said it so nice on the phone. I'm like, I can do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you do this for other women.
Right, and of course you can do that.
Right.
You can do it. I mean, most people can do it. And I had taken time and I watched what you did, and I thought, okay, here's how she can improve. And having somewhat mentored you in the past, I picked up the phone and I said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to wear the red jacket because you look terrific in it. And you're not going to spend, you're not going to waste time wondering what you're going to wear when you're going to do your weekly show. And then you're going to break it down. What subjects are you going to, say, I think I based it on quarterly. You're going to do something on health. You're going to do some things on business. You're going to do some things on events. I said you're going to write it down, and then you're going to be able to fill in the gaps of your 52 weeks, because you not only owe that to yourself so you can run smoothly, you owe it to WCET, who's giving you an opportunity here also. And they need to see that you have a plan, and that you're not just going to be, well, I don't know what I'm going to do next week. Well, you need to know what you're going to do next week. You have to have that business plan in place. So, and then I think we also talked about, okay, now how are you going to make this into something productive financially for yourself and for anybody you hire? And so what are the opportunities for that? And, once you get going, you're starting off, and then you just make it grow by making sure you implement that.
You are a coach for other women, because I know we spoke, and you're part. We had lunch down at the women's
City Club at
City
that
Club,
time,
and that's
in the
then
Sweet
your
House.
next thing after, handing the reins of your Kohler Expo onto the next person. But I mean, what are women asking you? I mean, you're seeing us out there. We're trying to make it. I mean, do most women have a plan, or they just have a dream and you're like, all right, what do you, as a coach?
Well, typically it starts off, they tell me their idea, and then I'm like, how far are you into it? What is your business plan? What is your financial plan? Because I will talk numbers. I'll talk numbers to death. You need to know your numbers, and that starts in the basics of home management, whether you're a mom at home or wherever you are, or you're somebody working, and what is your financial plan? We laid ours out. I should say I laid ours out the year we got married. I said, okay, here's our 30-year plan, and here's our goals. We're going to do this. I literally, year by year, I planned out our financial plan and our future. And when I said we're going to retire like when we're 57, 58.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, I know, and we all, I mean, we like nailed it to the, you know,
Right,
it
right.
just all fell into place. I mean, and we're semi-retired. We're not totally retired. You know, I'm not going to totally retire. I'm definitely
Right.
working on a lot of different things right now, and developed a, you know, another company, and just not sure where. I haven't totally decided where I'm going to take it, but the
Okay.
opportunities are numerous. But yeah, when they first come to me, I just want to know what their idea. I had somebody the other day who called me and said, okay, I don't want to do what I'm doing. I have these ideas. And I said, okay, what's your plan? And then we started breaking down, just like I did with you. You're going to break it down, and how much you're going to start with. How much do you need? Because when your financial contribution to your family matters, you better start then you're going to have to tell me as your coach how you're going to get there. I want to see before you quit your other job that you're not going to put your family at risk if you don't have a fallback. And so I want to know how you think you're going to make that money, and I want to make sure that you're, you know, you have some connections. I'll connect you to different sources. Like, you know, we have a pretty good Grow, offers a lot of programs to get started.
Right.
And you can also win money through their Entrepreneurship Now. And then we have Michigan Women's Foundation. They have a dolphin tank where you can win like $2,500, $5,000, I think it's $10,000. So, you know, I'll direct you to those programs and make sure you're utilizing the systems that are in place right here in West Michigan for women to use.
Did you use some of those programs?
You know what? Oddly, when I started, Grow hadn't developed yet, and when I went to meet with the person, she goes, okay, I can't help you. You know more than me. So it was not available to me. None of that was available to me. And now you have Grow, you have Inform, you have Michigan Women's Foundation. And I also want to say that, you know, all those programs will also help men. I don't ever want to leave out the boys, because I'm raising boys.
Yeah, I
and
raised
if we
boys
don't
too.
if we don't have heads of the households, whether it's men, women, as a team, we need it to be all people. We don't need it to be just female or male. We need it to be all people who need to be working on that. I don't like the label of anything, and I try not to participate in labeling.
Well, and I think you know, you and I have talked about going into the boys, us moms raising sons, you know, some becoming disengaged, and you're seeing that. Are you experiencing that too when you're out there, especially when you're doing business and getting, you know, you're part of the community. You're seeing that you have leadership into the Granville and things. Are you seeing that other people are complaining about the same thing? Because I get that a lot. It's like people are kind of, they have this, right? And I don't know how well this is great, but you know, there's different levels. I probably want to use this thing a third of what I really can, but I'm noticing more and more that people are just not able to sit down
And communicate. No,
communicate well, even what they want.
I definitely am seeing that in having the opportunity to be with, it seems like a lot of youth, because of my sons have friends and they have girlfriends, and I'm not seeing the goals I expected to see from some. Now some I'm looking at, I'm thinking, okay, these are professionals, young professionals.
Right.
They're making good choices with who they're marrying, they're having kids, they're, you know, they're engaged in their community. And then I'm seeing others like, okay, you know, remember, it's equal now. Men work, women work, and you have to figure out that balance. And it may not, I'm not ever going to cut down women who stay at home, because they manage the household. And if you don't think they're responsible for some pretty important stuff, they're responsible for maybe the household's income, making sure that, you know, what's coming in is what they're, you know, not exceeding what's going out. That's your responsibility if you're doing the home management. And the kids, you don't think raising the kids is important? It's got to be top of all our lists right now when you talk about kindness and the Be Nice program and stuff. All of that stuff starts at home. Numbers start at home. When I hear the financial, I hear how much school debt. And I will say, I'm a little, when I hear kids talk about, well, I'll just use my loan for that, instead of maybe working harder and making more money, they're just going to use their loan and continue to get into debt. And I'm always first to say, whether it's really my business or not, don't do that. Don't do that. You will regret it later. when you are young, you can work 60 hours.
Right.
And there are job opportunities everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about school debt to me, and I see you're only working 40 hours, I just want to say, yeah, when are you going to get that second job? So every penny. We just listened to Dave Ramsey yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before, where a young woman came out. She had $80,000 in school debt, which is pretty easy to do.
It's very common today.
It seems to be very common, but then she was very focused on, I am going to get rid of my debt in 3 years. And she got a second job. She worked that second job. Every penny she made went to that debt, and she paid it off in 3 years, so that she was debt-free on school loans. But, you know, those school loans, you know, this is where you think somebody else should pay it for you. I don't owe you a college education. You know, you need to figure it out just like I did. My parents were not able to provide me with a college education, and that back I went when lots of women didn't even go to college, and for some reason I thought I should go to college. I came out with debt, and I worked every holiday and every weekend for 3 years to pay that debt off, because I didn't think my husband should have to inherit that. He already had helped me financially in some ways, and so, you know, you just have to, as a team, figure out how you're going to get rid of that debt, because when you have kids, you're going to want to buy them new football shoes or new, you know, no matter what you're involved in, you want to give them the things they need, the tools they need to succeed.
Right, and let's talk about relationships and networking. Mm-hmm. And I've learned from my own experience, you know, when you were really into it, I really didn't understand it all because I wasn't at that season of my life. And now that I'm out there networking, I'm seeing more and more people say, you know what, I can hire people with degrees, no problem. I need people that can communicate. I need people that can engage.
Yeah.
I need people that can, I can go beyond, think outside the box is the term now. It's like, it's almost like, you know, come and do this like a process. And I think we might have done that with our kids. I don't know. It's like get good grades and do your volunteer and do it all within a resume to get into college, get into that. And then you go to the work, and it's like, you know, you're competing with the world. And it's like, you got to think outside the box. And I hear that more and more with leaders saying, you know, I want what you can do, Pamela. I want somebody that can talk and communicate, engage. I'm not, you know, boasting about myself, but that type of person, I'm not getting that. I'm getting people to tell me they're a 4.0, and they've got, you know, did all of these things they did for school to get into colleges, get into programs. Because I need somebody that be creative, think something outside.
To participate in real life.
Solve problems.
Yes, I mean, well,
you know?
So you always have to find solutions. You know, you can gripe about something, but then in your next sentence say, so what is our solution? What are we going to do to move forward? That's in anything. I mean, it's even if your kids bring something up to you, I said, so that's your problem, so now what's next? What's your solution, and what are your steps to take to make that solution, you know, so that you have what you want? But yes, no, we're definitely seeing the communication thing is difficult. And we just talked about this with the focus group the other night about the communication when you send more than one person to a networking event. Do they stand together and just talk to each other?
No.
When a business sends two people from their business, what should you do? You should be both working opposite ends of the room and then coming together at the end. Who'd you talk to? Blah, 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 you know, and make it all come together. But what we're seeing is when two people, they want to go with somebody, then they just talk to that person. Well, then you're not networking really for your company at all. So sometimes it's better to send people alone, even though they might not like it. But
but what I've experienced too, if you're training for a networking event, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I've learned even if you do know, let's say you and I were at a table together, maybe we're not working for the same company, but we both are friends. If we do I'll put you at the opposite, like put on the other side of the table.
Yep.
So we could feed off each other and promote each other. Like, oh my gosh, can you see that?
Yes.
And that sometimes empowers people. Like, I'll go to an event if I run into you. It's not always, and you may have done that, but I wouldn't say it's people really thrive to do. It's not to show up and know nobody. The idea of meeting one person and then, you know, making like, look, you sit across from the table from us, and we'll know because we're business people. We can promote each other.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And that could get you, the people could get you a lot further than you trying to, you understand, go around and try to talk to everyone. But I can put you right across and say, well, isn't that right, Denise? And then you can go.
Well, and part of the lesson is being aware that you need to do that. One of the things when I hosted tables, and I think I had you at a few, you know, I would make sure I always brought in, you know, a couple people that I thought would be connected with somebody at the table, and then I would introduce each person. That was one of the things I did before the event started, is take each person and say how I knew them, and then introduce them, and I went around the table to make sure everybody had a good feeling of who they were sitting with. But, you know, it's part of your responsibility when you are asked to be at some people's tables that you return the favor and you invite other people. And by the way, thank you for the tables you've invited me to. Now that I'm kind of out of the loop.
You're a good guest.
Well,
right?
I will make sure I engage, and I will also, if I hear something and I think they need something, I will direct them to a source that I know of that may help them.
Right.
So, you know.
You're very good at that. So you, if you're a good guest, you get put on the short list, right?
Right. Well,
because you don't want somebody that's difficult. It's different if you're there, but if you really, you really want to make the host look good, that she has lots of great friends, which you do. And then be a good guest, and that's what you can give back as gratitude. And then,
absolutely,
you know what I'm saying? That's just a way of saying thank you.
Right.
And that goes a long ways to being bringing something like that. And let's talk about. I want to talk about what you're doing now, because I saw Microvisions. Is that the right one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Microvisions.
I saw on LinkedIn. So please share me what you're doing and what you're up to.
Well, Microvisions is an IT company. It's woman-owned, and she focuses on IT services. She offers us a package where she'll take care of all your IT managed services. We're looking for a very target market, so I'm helping her with her business development and some of her marketing on a part-time basis. But I'm happy to still be in the business world and seeing what's going on and making sure I'm keeping up to date on things. That's one of the side things I'm doing.
Well, this is IT, right? You got the game?
Yeah, IT. Doesn't mean I know a lot about IT, but I do know business development. And when you're thinking about reaching a target market, you have to do some research to see who you're going to engage with.
Right.
So yeah, it's
I know
been
Julie
fun
for a while, and she came to an event, and
yes,
I didn't do the connection.
I brought her to the event
right,
that I thought would be a good event for her to be at, and so yeah, it's
fun. Did you guys real quickly? She sought you out, or you sought her, or
well,
you
it was
knew
kind
each
of
other?
a mutual thing. We are in an exclusive group, kind of, sort of, with Grow. It's an established businesswoman's division, and you have to reach certain criteria to be in that group, and it's a peer-to-peer group where we were all in the same situation, had companies, owned our companies. They were pretty successful. You have to be at a certain dollar amount to be in this group.
Okay.
And so I think it's $1 million. You had to be in business 7 years. You have to be 50% owned by women, and it's a great networking group. So she was part of that group, and she was just looking for somebody to do some business development and marketing, and I was like, oh, maybe I'd have an interest in that. I mean, we're having lunch together, just a casual lunch. Nothing of that was mentioned before we had lunch, and I said, let me take a look at what you need. And then, we just talked about how much I wanted to work and how much, if she thought what I could give her would work, and so, yeah, it's been good.
Oh, that's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that on LinkedIn, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I know her. I knew her, I just didn't know where. It's been many years. She developed our program at the nonprofit I was at.
Oh,
in the beginning, many years ago. So I couldn't understand where I met her, but anyways, it was great to see her.
The connection. Yes,
I
I've seen that in their account list.
Yeah. Now, Will, behind the scenes here, my little millennial battle of the gains. He's been kind of was our co-host, but didn't work. So he's behind the scenes. So he's kind of my sidekick, where he runs my social media.
Good.
He's going to be doing this endeavor I want to share with you. He's going to be leaving somewhere in September 1st or something like that. He's going to hit all 50 states in 90 days.
Oh,
and he's going to battle of the gains. He wants to do
mowing lawns like the guy I saw on the news last night.
Please be a mother to him and say, now, Will, what are you going to? How are you going to
call your mother every Sunday, Will?
But my thought is it? Are we becoming a generation where I just have to have these experiences in my life, and I have to go through this so I can stand on a TED Talk or whatever and say, look where I came from and look what I went. Is that what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur? Like, I totally lost it. I was down to my last $3 and I was living on, do you understand what I'm saying?
Most people have maybe been there. I mean, I think back of some of the places I lived in. I rented a closet.
I know, I remember
one part of my life
that.
for $25 a month, and I'll tell you, I decided.
Don't go to her house because
Yeah.
it's very, where are you at? Go to her house because it's very warm because she was cold in this closet,
yeah,
right?
it was cold in this closet.
And so she swore she'd never be cold
I was never
again.
going to be that cold again, nor was I going to be hungry. So there was some motivating factors there that I was just not going to have that feeling ever again. I was going to work hard enough where I didn't have to.
Yeah, and then, but I mean, do you think, I was just sharing that with David, I'm like, do you think that we feel like we have to have?
Well, I don't know if I purposely went that route, but I'm going to have to, I'm going to have a conversation with Will when we're done here. I just want to know that he's going to call his family and let them know he's okay. I think what he's doing is very courageous and gutsy, and frankly, to be successful in anything, it takes guts. It takes,
Courage.
It takes guts, courage, and it's not going to be in a 40-hour work week. I mean, if you're thinking
How did you
about
know when you
starting
made
a
it?
business.
Tell me.
How did we know when we made it?
Right.
Well, maybe when we hit the 10-year mark, and my husband and I were still married because we were working together, and he did his part, I did my part, and yeah, I think probably the 10-year mark, we're like, okay, we're successful.
Right.
We were meeting our financial goals, because we had a financial mentor.
Okay.
And we were on track, and we were having our kids and
Right.
pretty much keeping up with the household. Now, I say that, and then when I just recently moved, and I thought, okay, maybe I didn't keep up with getting rid of some of the stuff they outgrew, or all the stuff I had to go through before
Right,
we
because
moved.
you're downsized. Well, downside, you're just moving to a condo, which is going to make more of your availability to let go of the yard, which is really surprising to me because I know how much you love that part of that.
I love that part of
that
it.
life. Working from home, though, this is my struggle too. Being in my office in my home is that emotional. Did you go through that where you felt like you had to work? There was something drawing you to keep. It was hard for you to walk away. Like you leave a project and you're like, oh, I'm going to go make dinner, but then you're always cutting back to it. Being present. That's what I'm looking for.
Being present in the moment. You definitely want to do that. And we were very good about when we had office hours. The kids either were at school events or whatever, or one of us was upstairs when they got home from school. We were pretty separated. But, but I will say, when they went to bed and it was 9:30, we may have been back in the office working till midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, just so we could be with them after school.
Right.
So you had to make up that time somehow. But, some of your best work is done between 9 and midnight.
Oh, I know
because
it.
you're not being interrupted. You're totally focused. You've got your game plan, and before you go to bed, you're going to have your game plan for the next day. And part of that plan is being part of your household when your kids need you.
Now, back to some of these millennials, something, and I know you could share with the golden nugget, kind of like, what would you tell them today that are interested or maybe haven't even just ready to launch or leap, as they're going to say, take that leap of faith of starting becoming an entrepreneur, because it is very stressful too. I don't think you think that it is. I know what it feels like to be one.
Well, no, it is stressful, but for us, it was well worth it. Having a faith is very helpful, because if you allow yourself to engage prayerfully, daily, particularly that Sunday in a worship area of your choice, just where you have to sit and you have to think about what you did all week and, get re-engaged with, are you being kind? Are you being, respectful of other businesses? Are you treating other business people correctly? Are you treating your employees correctly? There's a whole list of emotions that you go time to think about what you're going to do, but you're not going to succeed with just working 40 hours. I don't think I know any entrepreneur that only worked 40 hours. It's going to take a little bit more, and you're always going to have to make sure you work with integrity and character, and those things will be very important for success. Don't think it's going to be a 40-hour work week, because it simply is not. I coached or mentored. If they see you moving forward, they will help you more. If they see you not doing that, then you will be put on the back burner, because there's people waiting in line to be properly coached and mentored who maybe are willing to do. And I had a mentor.
You still have one?
I do. I still have one. We still meet, once a year at least. We always try to meet at least once a year. And, he kind of took me, he looked at, I worked for him a little bit, and he said, okay, you're not going to stay in this position. You're going to own a business someday. And he made sure that happened.
Right.
He was like, I will help you, I will push you to help you succeed. Yeah.
But anyways, I want to thank you. And I know you'll come back, but is there anything else you want to share before we say goodbye?
No, I think we covered quite a bit of stuff. And another, I guess that there's one other golden nugget. Is pay attention to your numbers. You know, don't pretend you have numbers you don't have.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Denise
Thank you for
Kolesar. We will
having
have
me.
you back. It's been a pleasure, and you're just a dear friend and mentor, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, my dear.
Thank you.